is the beginning of a series of attempts on the part of the opposition in order to somehow ameliorate the approach that's been taken by the government in these matters. And in this particular part, we're looking at protections for employees who are covered by the 90-day provisions. And we made some attempts as we went through the part one of the bill to have some amendments to make some progress in that area. Unfortunately, they were not accepted by the government, and so we felt we had no option but to bring back to the House a new part which brought together some of those and hardened up a little bit, to be fair, and some other amendments in order to make sure that as far as is possible, and I don't want to in any way pretend to the House that these amendments that would be prepared to support the bill going through, even if these amendments were supported by the House, but they are designed in order to ameliorate some of the harshest parts of this legislation. And again, it is some of the issues are issues which are probably widely traversed in the second reading debate. We featured there some of our very real concerns, and one of them is around information about a decision. And again, I'm going to now appeal to the ACT Party again, because what we're doing here is attempting to get changes which all reasonable New Zealanders would agree with. The ACT Party is a party allegedly now for transparency. It used to be a party which was very much for transparency, and then the perk buster got caught busting using perks. But even then, I think, if you go to the views of Sir Roger Douglas and Heather Roy and even John Pascoe, and I'm not sure of the new member, they are members who have commented long and hard in this House about the importance of transparency. And I want to say to the new member that the idea of an employee having being provided with access to information about a decision to dismiss them is something which I can't see any reasonable person object to. And what this indicates is that any employer proposing to dismiss an employee under these 90-day trial provisions must, in good faith, provide access to information about the decision to the affected employee before a final decision is reached. And that, it's not saying you can't reach the decision. It's not saying that you have to have good faith. It's not saying that you have to act reasonably in making the decision, but that you have to provide information. And with that, gives the opportunity to the employee to comment. Because sometimes people get stuff, absolutely wrong. It might be that too much sauce might have gone on at the request of a customer. If someone's been fired for putting too much sauce on a hamburger, some people are saucy, and they need to keep the sauce levels up. I don't need a lot of extra sauce, Mr. Speaker. In fact, tomato sauce, I don't like it much at all. But aioli or similar sauce, I like a reasonable amount. And quite often, when I'm going to a decent hamburger joint, I do make requests as to the sauce proportions. And so why should the worker who's doing what the customer asks get fired because they do what's asked and the employer hasn't indicated to them the reasons? And I can understand, Mr. Speaker, why an employer might have a general policy for proportions of sauce. It might be saving sauce. or it might be to fit with it, Mr. Chairman.
Order. I'm on my feet. I have to make a ruling. I apologise to the member in whose name the amendment to Part 3 is, but I've now had time to fully consider the import of the amendment and also take some advice. And an amendment such as the member has tabled should be associated with Part 1, and so therefore it is out of order, as is his amendment to insert new Part 4. So the question now is that, point of order, the Honourable Trevor Mallow.
Mr. Chairman, the member has made one of 2 points that I would have made, and I would like to have an assurance from you that as part of the process you have not referred to the Minister and the Chair on this matter. Well, Mr. Speaker, I saw you and the Minister in the Chair, and the Minister in the Chair is confirming from behind that he did look at it, and you were talking about it. And I'm not sure, sir, this is quite a hard position for me to be in. But, sir, you know that, and I know that it is inappropriate to discuss a matter to do with the relevance of the Chair and the Minister, and I saw you discussing it with the Minister, and I.
Order. The member is raising a point of order and will be heard in silence.
And I do, of course, seek your assurance that that was not the case. But Mr. Speaker, I would like, as this appears to be a new ruling, and I've been looking in Speaker's rulings for this, in preparation as to the possibility of this happening. Can I get an indication from you, maybe by a nod or a wink, that this is a new ruling and is not one that is based on a precedent currently within the standing orders of Speaker's rulings?
Yeah. Let me respond to the points, and I can understand the frustration the member has, given that we are started. Yes, there has been dialogue going around here. The member would have also noticed that quite a senior clerk came in with some advice for us. So I ignored all comments from any other section. I did confer with the clerk here, and then we sought by telephone and got a more comprehensive explanation, because this was new territory for me. I haven't had to rule on anything as precise as this. And I guess there are some points around whether or not it is in contradiction or whatever, but it is the advice that I've had, which I concur with, that these elements that relate to Part 1 should have been dealt with at that time. So I just give the member the assurance that I am not influenced, and I'm a little bit hurt that he had to ask the question by the Minister and the Chair. Might need counselling, but in that regard, no, I sought from the advice from the highest authority available to me, and therefore I make the ruling. So the question now is, right, a point of order.
Yeah, of course, I take your word on the fact that you didn't listen to what John Carter said. Mr. Chairman, I do move that we report progress to seek a ruling from Mr. Speaker on whether parts 3 and 4 should be ruled out.
So actually not reporting progress, but seeking the Speaker be recalled. Yes. That's what the member has said. Exactly. So I'll put the question that the Speaker be recalled. Those of that opinion would say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The motion is agreed to.